G'day, Rockhound here. So, what's been happening with Ark Raiders lately? Well, firstly, let's do a quick recap. Back in December at the Game Awards, we got this excellent first trailer for the co-op third-person looter shooter game being developed by Embark Studios. The trailer was mostly gameplay based, which is great, albeit without the gameplay showing any HUD, but that's kind of to be expected for a trailer. We also got to see a large open world filled with wildlife for us to explore and plenty of action taking place in both day and really great looking nighttime settings as the Raiders take on their airborne and ground-bound alien robotic adversaries. We also learned that the game will launch sometime in 2022. Following the trailer, we had about a 2.5-month gap before Embark dropped this little teaser on Twitter to announce that we could sign up for upcoming playtests for the game. The teaser also happened to drop on a date that was previously hinted at through an Easter egg in the December trailer. I created a couple of videos about that if you want to check them out. Since then, we have, disappointingly for the core Ark Raiders community, had virtual radio silence from Embark Studios. A quarterly report from their majority shareholder Nexon in mid-May did say that external playtesting was to begin in late May, but it turned out that these playtests were not for those that had signed up through the Ark Raiders website and were more likely, as a guess, to be something like Nexon employees in Asia playing the game with the team at Embark Studios in Sweden to test out global networking and the like for the game. During all of this, the active community for Ark Raiders, which consists mostly of those of us on the community-created Ark Raiders Discord and subreddit, have remained relatively small. The Discord group has just over 600 members, and there are 1,500 following the subreddit. Having said that, those in the Discord group have definitely noticed the radio silence from Embark Studios, and have even started to wonder if the game might actually be delayed, especially since there was no update provided at the Summer Games Fest events held in early to mid-June. So, what's going on with the Ark Raiders marketing, and when might we expect the lead-up to the game's launch to get underway properly? After all, they did say it would launch in 2022. Firstly, after the no-show at the Summer Games Fest events, I reached out to Embark Studios' communications team to ask them why there's been such a large gap between marketing updates for the game, and was told that they couldn't provide any comment on that, which, to be fair, I did expect. Here's my guess at what's actually occurred. I reckon that sometime in early 2021 or thereabouts, the Embark team decided that they might just be ready to move into full promotion for the game's launch in the middle of 2022, with a launch promotion kicking off at the Summer Games Fest in June. This would mean that they really needed to get the first proper trailer for the game out at the Game Awards in December 2021, but they decided to say in that trailer that the game's launch would just be sometime in 2022, giving them some flexibility in case they needed to push the game back a few months. Then, after the public playtesting sign-up was announced in late February, perhaps during internal playtests in March, they decided that the game wasn't actually going to be ready for a June launch announcement, and that they needed to push the launch back to the end of the year, which still meets their commitment to a 2022 launch. So if my guess is true, what does that mean for us? Well, from a marketing point of view, I think it means we're now very likely to see the next significant promotion for Ark Raiders at Gamescom, which is held in late August. This would likely start a couple of months or so of promotion that might include some playtesting for those that have already signed up, leading up to a launch for the game in late 2022. So, in a sense, we might be seeing what you might call a soft delay, where only the small core community really noticed the lack of promotion between the trailer and the next major update, but it's provided Embark Studios several extra months to polish the game ready for launch. A no-show, however, at Gamescom would either mean they are going to market away from the main events, which would be kind of weird for a fledgling studio's first game, or we see an announced delay to sometime in 2023. I'm hoping that neither of those scenarios eventuate. In the end, if we do get a launch in late 2022, it's way better to have the small core community getting impatient about the lack of marketing updates about the game than launch their first game and everyone feels like it needed just a little more work. Do you agree? Let me know in the comments below. If you want to be part of the Ark Raiders community, click on the Discord invite in the video description below. Thanks for watching. Enjoy the rest of your day. Kia kaha. Stay strong.